Greg said, I'm the director of Rogue Valley Farm to School. In my role there, I work with food service directors and farmers to help increase the amount of local food being served in cafeterias. The notion of food hubs became aware to me probably about 5 or 6 years ago when a nonprofit in Portland started an online platform that they called Food Hub, and then slowly started seeing all this information about food hubs and paying attention to it. And along the way, I became aware of a program at the University of Vermont called Food Hub Management. And I became interested in that, and I applied and was accepted, and I went to Vermont to start that program. It's a blend. I just got back from Vermont last week. It's a blend of hands-on, community-based, online, and on-campus learning. So it was pretty cool to be able to visit food hubs on the East Coast and go to operations on the West Coast in my time that I was studying. To do the program, they ask you to work with a food hub or apprentice or intern, and I had the pleasure of working with Amber Fry and Steve Fry, who have just built a new facility, and we'll tell you all about it when I'm finished giving you an overview of what food hubs are up to. And it was pretty cool to be able to have the program let me overlap the work I do at Rogue Valley Farm to School, as well as work with farmers in our community that I have had a relationship with for years, helping them get their food into schools and being at the growers markets and other various things. So the program felt like a quick, intense MBA in a lot of ways. There was a lot of focus on financial literacy. The cohort was the second cohort in the history of the program. Right now they're recruiting for the third cohort. There is no other program like it in the country. And the cohort started with 26 people for the 4-month portion of the program, and 12 of us stayed on to do the full program. It allowed me to travel to 8 states and visit about 14 different food hub operations, and each is very unique. A food hub has a so this is the definition of food hubs that the USDA is using, as well as the Wallace Center, which I'll talk about them a little bit more. Across the country, they're popping up. I don't think that they're like an extremely new, incredible model for aggregating and distributing food. That's been happening for quite some time. The difference is that the intention is to source identify through the chain, as well as make sure that everybody is happy, so the price is agreed upon. So the value chain is what food hubs represent. So the supply chain is lacking source identification, providing the buyer often the best price. There's a bidding situation oftentimes. Could you go one more? And so what's driven the development of food hubs is this attachment to values. Good food values are driving the growth. And good food is good products and practices that are healthy for the body, the planet, the producers, the workers, the local economy, and concerns for public health and social justice, and a demand for returns to the community, both environmental and economic. So in the commodity chain, supply chain, as I said, it's more of a race to the bottom. It's about the best price rather than being fair to the producer. And that is what the food hub movement is representing. There has been a lot of investment by the USDA and regional agencies and state agencies to look at what the economic feasibility is and how food hubs are functioning in communities. So if you went to the USDA website, you would find yourself about 100 different 50-page or more documents that you could read about food hubs, and a lot of them are feasibility studies. So their feasibilities are assessing the community's needs, which is very important, how the hubs benefit farmers and buyers, and some food hubs are direct to consumer, so looking at the market readiness on all levels and the core functions, and then how a food hub should be structured. So these next slides that look like this are not as fancy, are more fancy than I. And I got those from the Wallace Center at Winrock International and the Good Food Network. They've been the nonprofit really leading the food hub study and movement. They've been supporting food hubs. They've been hosting food hub conferences. And they've been really supportive. There's also a lot of information on their website that you can reference. So they did a benchmark study surveying food hubs in 2013, and then they did another one in 2015. So these next few slides are looking at the information that they compiled from those studies. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how food hubs function in a for-profit, a nonprofit, and a cooperative business legal structure. And there's a lot of discussion about whether the nonprofit role in bringing food to market is appropriate. And maybe we'll talk about that after everyone presents and we have time to talk about things. But is it appropriate to take private or government funding to enter the marketplace? That's a question. And there's quite a bit of subsidy support for nonprofit food hubs as well as for-profit. And of course, there's a lot of subsidies available to big agricultural producers as well. So does that level the playing field? Does it help the small farmer get a better price at market? So I'm going to give you a little local context. We have some for-profit food hub enterprises in the Rogue Valley. Rogue Natural Foods, Tom Marks is here. And he's a regional distributor. Fry Family Farm, budding food hub, for-profit enterprise. And Rogue Produce, which is marketed as a CSA, it's a direct-to-consumer home delivery online grocery program. It's not really a CSA in terms of the actual definition of community-supported agriculture. And the man that runs the business isn't a farmer, but he's aggregating and distributing to home deliveries. And then a nonprofit example would be the online market that Thrive operated for a while, and that was again a direct-to-consumer model, which we didn't feel like there was enough population base to keep it moving. It was also grant funded, and the grant funding ran out, so that's not operating anymore. And then a cooperative model would be the Siskiyou Sustainable Food Co-op, which Maud is here, and that's 7 farms, sorry. Again, direct-to-consumer, aggregating for CSA. And then there's an added layer with these legal structures where operations look at who owns the food along the chain. Sometimes the food hub will buy the food and own it until it's sold. Sometimes they're just passing it through. So that's a consideration, a legal consideration when setting up a food hub. And then this is the business structure, which I just referenced. The direct-to-consumer. So it's an online grocery or subscription service, which is, again, different than a community-supported agriculture. And in this context, the food hub context, we're talking about aggregation. So not just one producer, but multiple producers. And often in the farm-to-consumer model, it's not only fresh product. And then the farm-to-business or institution would be a wholesale model. And then the hybrid would be offering both. And then the local references I just gave you now switch categories. Rogue Produce is the farm to consumer. Thrive was farm to consumer. Siskiyou Sustainable Co-op, farm to consumer. And then the business is Rogue Natural Foods and Fry Family Farm. Fry Family Farm operates a CSA, but it's not aggregating. It's all from their farm. And I had the opportunity to visit some operations that were also functioning as business incubators, which sometimes food hubs do as well. So offering space in the food hub for commercial kitchen use to create your product and get it into the marketplace. I visited a food hub in Vermont that has really unique meat curing and special temperatured storage for meat producers there to produce their product. And then some food hubs offer minimal processing, which is a very sought product for our institutions and food buyers who might not necessarily have the labor to chop and peel all the fresh products that come from the farm. So the business structure is important too, because all these things are perishable. and the margins are slim. Food hub logistics can really make or break an operation. It's a lot of coordinating, and every employee seems to need to have a lot of skill sets to cross all the different things that need to be handled in a food hub. There's a truck broken down, then now it's your job to go help with the truck instead of your job to do the business end, and then someone else has to step in there. Delivery drivers are very important to food hub operations. It's a lot of relationship building, so not just the person who makes the sale over the telephone or makes the original calls on institutions or restaurants or groceries to try to gain them as a customer, but the face of the delivery driver is also very important too, where they need to be able to engage with the buyer and keep them informed. And if the buyer wants to have a conversation about, oh my God, these radishes are so amazing, the driver is best if they can engage in that conversation as well. And the reputation is critical to managing risk. So looking at food hubs that have developed over time, and then looking at the two benchmark studies, there are approximately 350 food hubs who have participated in the most recent survey, and the estimated total revenue of these food hubs is $500 million. 98% of the food hubs expect to see an increase in demand over the next couple years. So it's growing rapidly. And this is a look at the sales categories. So one thing that I've seen is that there's always a heavy focus on produce, but if you can imagine a pallet loaded with produce, that might be worth a few $100s. But if you can imagine a pallet loaded with meat or wine or cheese, it's worth a lot more. So it helps to have a mix to increase the profitability.
It's about $1,000.
So you see a lot of places offering more than one thing in their service. Success in food hub marketing of these mixed products has been often most successful if farmer-led. Building an operation with the best interests but not the engagement of the farmer hasn't always been successful. Diverse stakeholders committed to understanding their roles in the system, assess the current infrastructure. So if you already have a minimal processing opportunity in your community, you wouldn't want to spend $70,000 on a freezing machine if you could be contracting that out with someone else. So some of the wholesale challenges that I have seen are very much related to scale. Economies of scale, tight margins. As a society, we've gotten used to food costing very little and having very little idea what the real cost of production is. So determining prices, things have to work for both the buyer and the seller. And again, not just getting to the lowest price, but making sure that everyone's getting a satisfactory price. And there's a wholesale challenge involved in production planning. Some conversations need to take place to say, I'm going to be able to buy this many cases of this product a week, and I'm going to be able to produce this much. Securing the capital to operate a wholesale business, the refrigerated trucks, all very expensive. And looking at staffing on all levels, as I mentioned, is really important. One of the biggest challenges I feel like we're facing around here is distribution. We know that we have good producers and we know that we have interest. It's just often complicated how to get things from one place to another, and it takes a lot of time if everyone's doing individual deliveries. Some other wholesale challenges are just consumer education. How do we evolve people's appreciation of local agriculture? And then there are food safety standards and expectations on the wholesale market. Processing equipment is very expensive. The picture on the left is a minimal processing facility in Vermont where they have a bunch of different kitchens. I think they have 5 different kitchens that have different kinds of equipment. You can move equipment amongst the rooms as well. And the day that I was there, this is taken through a glass window, so not a great picture, but this is a farm that comes in twice a year and brings their entire half a season cabbage harvest and shreds it all and then just takes it out in buckets and does the rest of the processing on farm. But it's worthwhile for them to come in just to use the equipment. And then the same facility, another producer is using a peeler for the winter squash and then able to shrink it into plastic at that facility and get it on a grocery store shelf. Distribution, as I mentioned, is a big challenge. The scale difference is huge. There's massive distribution companies that are able to move a lot of product, and then there are small trucks stopping at a lot of places with small orders, $500 or less orders. Scaling agriculture is really hard. Growing for market and growing for distribution are really different things. Coordinated marketing and distribution activities maximize product value through strategic representation to market demand. So we're talking about shorter supply chains. Transportation costs are saved, food is fresher, folks have the identity of the farmer when they're making their purchase, a farm that they're used to doing business with, and then communicating those shared values, differentiating the products by branding them by farm name, and expanding the market share, building loyalty. This is looking at the opportunities for growth with food hubs. So this is really interesting to me as someone who would like to see school food continue to increase their purchasing with local producers. So you can see that colleges and universities and K-12s show up on this list, CSAs, online shopping opportunities for folks to make things simple, but you know the competitor is, Amazon or Thrive Market, or I don't even know all the names of all the different online shopping opportunities folks have now. But growing the market for local and regional foods, in 2014, the industry estimate was that was a $12 billion market. So there's a lot of room for growth in that market. I'm not going to go too far into school food because it's complicated business. I would like to show you that, or tell you about, in Jackson and Josephine County, there's an opportunity for schools to buy from Fry Family Farm and Nomis through a USDA program. And that program, in a school year, is an accumulation through the 7 participating districts with the 2 vendors is $56,773 in this school year. This is a tool that you can use on a website for the Oregon Farm to School and School Garden Network, where you can put in a dollar amount and it'll calculate what the economic impact in the community is. And so that $56,773 turns into $113,546 in our local community. That's pretty worthwhile. And that's school food. So that has such a huge impact because we're talking about small servings, lots of kids. It's pretty powerful and incredible and pretty exciting. And I went really fast. And I'm going to introduce you to Amber, and then Steve and Amber and I are available for questions.
I know a lot of y'all, and I don't know a lot of y'all either. But that's good. So I've been decided to go first, so I am here to introduce myself. I'm Steve Fry, and this is my daughter Amber. And we and my wife, who's not here tonight, she's up with her mother in up by Salem. Me and her started this farm 27 years ago, Fry Family Farm. And we started on like a half an acre, and we've risen to a 90-acre farm now. We have 3 separate parcels in the Rogue Valley here, and we're certified organic, always have been, and always will be. That's our gig. We've been selling at the growers market and the retail stores, and the more you grow, the more you sell, the more you want to keep selling. And I am a guy that just keeps broing. It makes your hair turn white and you get old faster, but we've got a 150 member CSA. It just keeps going. So the bad news about growing on a lot of dirt is you accumulate a lot of boxes at the end of the day, and you need a place to put them and a way to process them. And so a few years back, I went to one of these shows. Philip Yates and this Food System Network started back many years ago, and I sat in one of those little conversations we were having there, and this big room, a lot of people, and they had this idea of the food hub, and it's like, gosh, all those things fit into what we need at our farm. A little light came on, it's going like, well, if I need that and we can help the community build a better food system in the Rogue Valley, I'm in. So that was a little spark that got us to where we are now, selling to the stores and the schools now. I mean, the next thing I'm going to get Trace on is selling institutionally to retirement homes. The aged, homes dig fresh food. And like the schools have been a big success. And me by myself, I can't really get into these places. And in fact, I've kind of fallen back to let y'all do it mode, because they don't want to talk to just me, because just me can't fulfill their need. I need a warehouse full of food that they can call me for broccoli and go, sure, I got that guy's broccoli, I can sell it to you. Institutions the same way. Everybody is so overworked now that even grocery stores, if you don't have a huge wide variety of stuff that you can deliver to them, they really don't want to talk to you, because they're used to going to a wholesaler who has everything, papayas to kale, And so it's a great opportunity for us to be able to get into these stores, because all we have sometimes is just chard and kale, like right now. So basically, it's kind of grown, everything's great, it's all good, and we built this building. And what else you want me to talk about? It's a tag team. You got this part?
Yes. Well, we'll start with kind of the concept of how the hub came about. It didn't start as an idea to be a food hub. The idea came into play when my dad started and has continued to expand his business to the place it is now, and the facilities that he is in currently, and now we're transitioning to the new building, became insufficient, and he needed to expand the wash facility, the pack facility, the storage that he had with the 90+ acres. The building that he was in started to become really small.
Coolers got real small.
The coolers got small, everything, and the efficiency of the business was starting to suffer. So at that point, he knew that he needed to expand, and with that, he also had been to some of the council meetings and been part of the Rogue Valley Food System Network, and heard that it's not only himself that was struggling with the infrastructure, but there was a lot of other farmers that could use help with infrastructure as well. So with that idea came the concept of building something not only for Fry Family Farm, but that could serve the Rogue Valley. So in that concept, first started talking about it amongst the family, brought the idea to the wholesaler that we use right now, Organically Grown Company out of Eugene, and got their input about it, and continued to explore other options, what other people were doing, and kind of came up with a plan that would not only serve our needs at Fry Family Farm, but we could also hopefully serve other needs of growers in the Rogue Valley.
Including the wholesaler up in Eugene.
Yes.
Because for them, they need a home. They need a base also where they can bring in truckloads of stuff that they deliver, and we can coordinate with them and put our stuff maybe on their truck that they deliver all over the valley, or we could take over that duty and deliver their stuff with everybody else's stuff. So it's more of a commingling of everybody's stuff and one distribution center,
Yep.
right?
So with the distribution center, we decided what would serve. We needed to make sure in making the plans that we would be serving our own needs and thinking about what we could do to also help provide infrastructure that may be too costly for other small farmers to do on their own, that would be able to act as a shared facility. So with that concept, we really thought that a place that could be somewhere that some people could drop their produce, where it could be aggregated, where it could be distributed. We also wanted to put in some infrastructure for washing, sorting, packing. Then came the idea of putting in a processing kitchen. We have quite a bit of waste on our farm with product that isn't A, B quality, so C product grades that could then be turned into a value-added product. So then came the idea of the kitchen turning product that goes to waste into something that's value-added. We thought that would also serve the needs of the community, having a place where they could come and process their goods. And then with that idea came, where are we going to sell this product, and the addition of the store at the front of the building was added. So at this point, we do have a farm store, a certified processing kitchen, and a processing facility. The large building is 7,000 square feet. So breaking the ground here, first of the planning meetings, expanding and building the facility. The total facility is 8,400 square feet. So 7,000 square feet of warehouse space that houses the commercial kitchen, which is 30 by 30. It houses the walk-in refrigerator, which is 26 by 36. A walk-in freezer, which is 10 by 14. It will have an ice room to bring ice into the facility, where it would then be put onto the vegetables for storing. And then it also has a salad mix room with salad spinners to dry the product. It has a one dock, loading dock at this point, and may expand to 2 docks.
We undercut on there. That was bad. We already got plans to put in another loading dock, so we can have 2 trucks next to each other, and they can come out of this one and go straight into that one. Computer, a lot of time saved there. So we got to build another loading dock, like right away. Thank you very much.
So he's already looking to expand, and we haven't even moved into the facility yet. But
That's normal.
the concept came together, and we built what we could with the budget that we had. And we were really lucky to be able to put in what we've been able to build up to at this point. And with that, we were able to secure a loan for Fry Family Farm through Farm Credit Services. We also received a couple of grants. We received a grant from the Regional Solutions Team of Oregon, which is through the governor's office, and then we also secured a grant through the USDA, a local food promotion grant, and we did get some private funding as well through a local community member who is been really
Awesome.
supportive and wants to see the expansion of local organic product and bringing that product to market. So with the funding that we got in total, it was about a $1.2 million project. And with that, so this is a piece of the infrastructure that has been put in, if you want to talk about that, Dad.
Yeah, so this is our processing line that we put together. We partnered with an organically grown company again, and we tore out the equipment at Associated Fruit in Phoenix, Oregon. They sold the warehouses there, and me and a bunch of other yahoos went in there with cutting torches and tore it apart and ended up with all these parts of their business. So there's sorting tables, there's sorting lines, there's conveyors that you can pack different grades and different sizes, like fruit guys want to get in here next year probably. I've got a couple of them looking at it where they can sort fruit. We sorted potatoes through this line. We have, it starts with a wash bay at the far end and runs through brushes that brush and polish and wash. There's rinsers there. So we're GAP certified good handling and good farming practice. So this meets all the GAP certifications, the Food Modernization Act. This meets all that criteria. So a small farm can bring their stuff in. If their farm is good farming practice, what do they call it? Good agricultural, GAP practice certified, they can get good handling certified through our facility. So all you need is the GAP. That saves you a lot of time and money because we cover that here. We have to do it anyway for our stuff. This, you run your stuff through here, you get it automatic. We have plans to get into the GFSI, it's another certification, but we're going to meet all the Farm Modernization Act requirements with this facility for packing and handling. And it's pretty cool. It's got like 3 separate sorting lines off of one line there that you can do. So that's pretty cool. That was a big push for us to get that done. I can run cucumbers through there and sort out 3 different sizes and lines, so it's really great. There's a lot of different stuff, zucchini, anything that's round and hard, you can run through this. Squash, winter squash, all the summer squash. It's really fun. So we built this 26 by 36 cooler. That is the vegetable cooler. The 10 by 14 is a cooler that we keep for warmer things, tomatoes, eggplant, warmer crops. And then the freezer is a 10 by 14 freezer that we keep at minus 10 degrees. So it's like a flash freezer. And you put stuff in there, you can put aroma in there and it's like hard in a couple of minutes. And it's awesome. And then you put those in 5-gallon buckets and you've got them throughout the season. So now we have this freezer full of berries and peppers and tomatoes, full of 5-gallon buckets and frozen pies on the other side. It's almost too small already. 10 by 14 freezer. I knew we'd outgrow it. So this is kind of pictures of our kitchen. 30 by 30 kitchen is a pretty cool kitchen. It's got all this stuff in there. It's got the convection oven. It's got the stove there, stovetop for boiling. It's got the globe mixer. We just got a chopper so you can chop things different sizes, graters, different sizes. Dishwasher, sinks. And then in the back of that area is a storage area where all the, so we're doing pies, we're making a lot of stuff there. It's pretty exciting. We're doing value-added products in there. We have a staff of 4 people?
Yeah, 4 people running the kitchen right now, working 5-6 days a week sometimes, processing all of the value-added products. There's 2 large kettles in there that we do a lot of jams and sauces with. We've had a few people come in already to use it for rental space for their own processing. And
Steam
plan
kettles?
to have quite a few more and open more times up for other people to be able to utilize the facility as well.
It's got a 60 and a 12-gallon steam kettles in there. So we got 2 separate steam kettles. You can do like 60 gallons of product at a time, which is totally awesome if you're a production guy. These guys that rent are just loving it. They cut their time in a lot. In fact, we haven't seen them lately. They made too much.
Yeah, they were able to double their batch that they're usually doing. So that is cutting their production time and the need for kitchen space in half. And we're finding that we need to have our guys pick more because the kitchen's running out of things to do as well. With that amount of capacity, it really is able to bake things and cook things down very quickly. So moving forward, kind of why we decided to do this and what we really, our objectives were in building the food hub, and what we hope to see the food hub become. And at this point, we're utilizing it fully. We haven't moved our production over there entirely because it was done right around August, which becomes our busiest time of the year for harvest. And to move the facility and to train our employees on the new facility in the peak season of harvest was proving to be too difficult. So at this point, we are finishing up this season in the old facility. This winter, we will move the rest of the components that are still in the old facility over to the new facility, train our employees on the new facility, and then be able to actually open for operation this spring. And with that, this spring, we will also be able to start offering a suite of services to other local farmers. And at this point, like I said, the kitchen is already being open to other vendors and other farmers, really anyone. There's been lots of different people that we didn't think would be able to utilize this space that's worked out for. So that's great. So the kitchen's already being utilized, not only by us, but by the community as well. Really, I think our main goal is to offer infrastructure that is going to help smaller and medium-sized farmers increase productivity, increase their kind of time, increase the size of their farms based on what they can grow and how much they can process, and really help alleviate some of the food safety certifications as we continue to move forward, and as the Food Safety Modernization Act comes into play, this facility will hopefully be able to alleviate a lot of those certifications on smaller farmers so they can continue to sell into the wholesale market. So really what we hope to accomplish is to help increase the locally food that's sold here in the Rogue Valley. We hope to increase local food sold in the region, give farmers an opportunity to make value-added product with their own food, and also give them a place to sell product, C's or B's, that we can take on and process for them if they're not interested in processing. So somewhere to move product that's not usually wanted. And then also help increase the quality and the shelf life of locally grown product, because there is the proper infrastructure to cool it, to pack it, and to move it from one place to another place more efficiently. one more component to the hub is the store, and at this point we are selling all of our value-added products there with the pickles, the jams, the pies, different ferments that we do, baked goods as well. We do breads and some cookies and things, all of our vegetables that we grow and flowers. And then we sell all different types of local goods, eggs, cheese. We're bringing in wine right now. And then also some pottery and household goods. And then we also sell some of our plants and things there that we grow as well. So the farm store really is to focus on local organic products through Jackson, Josephine County. Pretty much all of Oregon is what we're trying to keep it. And with that, the store right now is open 7 days a week. We're just expanded our hours to be open 7 days a week, Wednesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and Sunday through Tuesday 10 to 5. Business out there has been good, and with the holidays coming up, we see more and more people coming out, and we've been able to bring in a lot more local vendors. So that's also been working.
So the question is related to organic or conventional being moved through the food hubs. The food hub concept is to support local, not necessarily organic, but local and regional producers, and to retain the identity of the farm all the way through. So looking at the values of the producer and asking the buyer to respect those values, to buy into those values by paying the asking price of the product rather than working with the larger distributor where they can get a lower price. But they recognize the fact that they're also gaining a marketing component. They can say that they're serving local food. They can farm identify on their menus or on their shelves. And they can promote the additional nutritional value of the fresher food. They are understanding that when you're buying something that was harvested yesterday, you're having a longer shelf life on the grocery store shelf or in the refrigerator in the institution, where food can sometimes be delivered to a school or a nursing home or hospital on a Friday, but they're potentially not going to serve it until Tuesday, and it's still going to be in good shape. Did that answer the question?
And partially, I'm looking at it from a consumer's point of view that says, I want real food. I don't want pesticide-loaded food. I mean, that's what the market is now, and I really appreciate how you're expanding into the schools and other areas where people may or may not be particular about how their groceries, assuming they want them, will know that they better eat them, are coming from. Right now, we look at it as such things as, is it gluten-free or is it not? Is it organic? Is it not? And that's maybe the criteria that a lot of people use. I know that's why they go to the growers market, is because it's all organic. But when you have so many hubs, and you've explained well who's participating, I just wondered how they know what they're getting, whether it is organic or whether it's another commercial, similar to commercial food.
Yeah, it's added transparency.
It's always been organic, and as you say, it will always be. But
A lot of times a food hub might have an online presence where you can look at a profile of a farm and get a connection to their website as well. When I visited the hubs in the East, it was mostly just a site visit with the cohort. And when I visited hubs in Montana and Idaho and Washington, I would spend a couple days. And so what I wanted to gain was seeing how their aggregation worked, and then I would want to go out on deliveries. And going out on deliveries was pretty exciting to see the response of the chefs and the buyers. Everything that you're delivering is coming as packed at the farm and has the farm's identity on the box. The invoice includes every farm name. Sometimes the buyer is actually aware of, has met or been to the farm, and they're they're excited to retain that identity and share that with the end consumer, whoever they're cooking for, whoever's going to eat it or buy it in the grocery store. So there's a lot of transparency. There's no step in that chain that doesn't include the farmer's name and their growing practices.
Thank you.
Reagan?
Yeah, my question is for Amber and or Steve. I'm just curious, I have two questions actually. The first one is maybe this is a hard question to answer, but how many farms do you hope and expect will utilize the facility there, mainly the processing part? And then you mentioned, Amber, that a lot of people have been coming and using this space in ways that you didn't expect, and I was just wondering if you could give us a couple of examples of that.
Yes, so
Can you repeat?
questions were, how many growers do we expect to utilize the processing facility? And second question was, what and who have been already using the facility in ways that we haven't really expected? First question, we hope to get as many farmers in there as possible. We've made connections with at least 5 growers, real connections with at least 3 growers that we feel like will use the facility in one way or another next year. Do you want to expand on that, Dad?
Yeah, Organically Grown Company, the wholesaler we're working with, has growers and shippers, Shasta View, Wheatgrass, Blue Fox, who are already delivering to their cooler. They have a presence in Medford already. They're going to move that presence to our building. So those folks will be coming in already.
Valley View has used.
Yeah, Valley View Orchard. So what we are is an organic facility. And to answer your question too, the packing line for organic orchards, you can't grow an orchard in this valley and pack it in this valley because you're too small. They don't want to clean their packing line down to fit your stuff on it. Unless you're a 500-acre organic orchard, they're not going to talk to you. This will work for you. It's always going to be organic. We're not going to run conventional stuff on it. That's just the way it is.
So there's cross-contamination issues with certified organic product. So for us, we grow certified organic product, and our lines have to be certified organic as well. In order to process conventional and non-conventional or certified organic product, you have to wash down the lines, clean everything, run organic first and then run conventional, or if you're running conventional, then they have to stop the lines, clean everything to run organic and keep the certification. So for our particular hub, everything that will go through it will be certified organic.
The kitchen will be certified organic. The warehouse will be organic. The coolers have to have separation between organic and conventional. So it becomes too much hassle, so it's just going to be a organic warehouse. We presented that to everybody we've talked to, and they understand it. Once you understand how the food chain works now, you're either in or you're there or you're here. It's too hard. So the organic farmers in this valley, to grow their business, will at least ship through this. And about the numbers, you don't really know about numbers until you build it. And you build it, they will come mentality is what I have. And, 20 years ago, I talked to an organically grown guy, and he didn't know I would be where I am now. And I've talked to 5-year growers, 6-year growers, 2-year growers, that you don't know where they're going to be in 10 years. And it could blow up for them, and they could be great growers, and they need to get out of the valley because the valley's saturated. we grow 2% of what the valley can eat, organic vegetable guys, and it's sold out. And you can grow way more than this valley will sustain you. That's the bad news. We grow 2% of what they eat, and it's not enough. You can grow way more than that. I grow way more than that. I'm tapped out. My sales in the valley are flat. But when I go out of the valley, it's unlimited. And there's a lot of that's okay to take a lower price. The margins are a little smaller, but you do such volume, it makes up. It's great. So when I'm really into the wholesale thing, I like the regional and the local deal as well, but you got to have a place to get out from what we're doing here.
And then how and who has used it in ways that we haven't expected. I was expecting most of the kitchen to be utilized by other farmers or artisans, making breads or things like that. We've set up with the Southern Oregon Bee Association, and they're going to be spinning and processing their honey in the kitchen now, so that's one way. We've been contacted by quite a few different people for event space. We're hoping to do a big crafters market there, a marketplace of like 50 different vendors coming in. Also local vendors. Coquette Bakery is coming in and using it as a pop-up location to continue their sales after one of the markets is over. And we've had other people that are interested in using it as a pop-up space. Some different clay potters and things want to come in there and utilize it. Different wineries to do tastings and things. So just more of a cooperative space and doing more of pop-up events. I wasn't really expecting that. We hosted a wedding there, which was definitely not on the list, but it worked out wonderfully for them. So I think really we're just trying to utilize it in any way that can be beneficial to, the community.
Sarah?
So you mentioned your relationship with Organically Grown Company a couple times. I'm wondering, in the future, is there opportunity for other distributors to come in and partner at the facility, like Charlie's, for example? Or could you see down the road Fry wanting to do your own distribution in the valley, where you're taking stuff to a grocer instead of OGC taking something to the grocer?
No, that doesn't work for me. I can see Charlie's coming into our dock, and I could see any wholesale distributor picking up their farmer's product. If a local farmer sold to Charlie's and he wanted to run his stuff through our stuff, and put his stuff in the cooler, Charlie's could dock. Certainly. Yeah.
Tom?
And along those lines, so you mentioned, months past, just having conversations with you guys, that you didn't want to be distributors at all, but then you said tonight, become a distribution center. So just curious about that and how that, clearly you partnered with Organically Grown, who's not a local business. Kind of curious about how that partnership, how that affects the local distribution companies. Are you gauging that impact? I see the local calculator, all that sort of stuff. You have local businesses doing a lot of this business now. If through your relationship with Organically Grown, you begin to siphon that business to Organically Grown, isn't that working against the supporting of the local economy? And just kind of along those same lines, how do you see yourself working with local distributors and not necessarily against us?
Yeah.
The question.
Can I repeat the question?
Yeah.
I guess the question is, how is Fry Family Farm not going to compete in the distribution service with local distributors? And that's always a dicey question. I see it as I'm already in the distribution business. I have been since I started. We have always delivered Fry Family Farms product. This is an instrument that brings things together to facilitate people's stuff going out. I'm going to be at those stores anyway. And it all comes down to relationships that I have with different growers. You might have relationship with different growers to different stores. I'm not here to compete with any local distributor. I am going to distribute my stuff as I always have. And organically grown goes to a lot of different stores down here already. They are from Eugene, and they are a big, giant company. I am in an owner's position. It's an owner, it's a farmer employee-owned company, and I've been with the company for a long time as a farmer owner. And so for me, you know, Tom, it's about relationships that we all have with each other as growers and sellers and markets. And
what we said from the beginning is that we are not creating new accounts at stores for farmers. If a farmer distributes and uses our facility to wash and pack, and if they want us to deliver to a store for them that they already have an account set up with, we will deliver their product under their name for them.
their
So
invoice
their
goes to the
invoice
store.
Goes to the store. We are not planning on becoming a distributor in the way that we will take on other people's produce and make accounts at grocery stores or restaurants or anything like that. So local distributors that have accounts set up with grocery stores already or restaurants and choose to use our facility to pick up product from other local farmers, we're happy to work with anyone that is in that position. We're also happy to work with farmers that want to sell their product directly to a store that, or a restaurant or whoever that they already have an existing relationship to. So taking down the burden of them having to have their own refrigerated truck, having to take time out of their day to do a delivery. If they're storing their product at our facility and it's in our cooler, if we are going to that store already, Fry Family Farm hopes to be able to deliver for them and cut down on the time that they are away from the farm. But as we said from the very beginning, it's not our vision, and we don't see ourselves creating new accounts for farmers. We will continue to let the local distributors that already have those accounts continue to do that work. We're just working with the aggregation and the distributing of people with accounts. Go ahead.
Reminds me of something I was already thinking of. One of the things that constrains the options such as, and strains the fears of competition is the perception of scarcity, that there's a scarce market to get to. Tracy, you mentioned one of your slides was about the sectors of the market that, or the places to market produce that are growing, that there's a growth potential for local food. Steve, you mentioned a figure, you know, whatever the figure might actually be, but that there was, you grow 2% of the organic food that the valley gives you. So there's a whole other layer to this, and that is increasing the demand locally for organic produce. All right? To change the food system over for the whole valley for lots of reasons. Right? Everybody's health benefit, for the economy, for lots of things for locals. Your question about organic versus local, or versus is not quite the right conjunction there, but versus and. reminds me of my pioneering days in the distribution of organic produce in the Pacific Northwest and the subsidizing of the startup organic growing underwriting of it. It was done by having a business whose backbone was the distribution of non-organic food. Really good deals. It was mainly culls that I regraded and created product lines. They were calling cards to get into businesses throughout the Pacific Northwest that otherwise wouldn't have even listened about organic. You establish trust. The whole produce business is based on trust. It's about relationships, like I think it was Tracy talking about the drivers that go to the, for instance, that go to the stores, the customers, that personal relationship that they develop with people. So you become, if you're a food hub and you are not just making a distinction or a requirement that it has to be organic food you're carrying, that it's local food, and yet you're transparent about what it is, what the growing practices are, who the growers are. You develop this interest in people coming to get that food, one way or another, whether it's the direct consumers or wholesalers, restaurants, etc. And because people like that local thing, for lots of reasons, good reasons, and as you do that, you expose people to the organic produce. Because they're there. Because you taste it, you sample it, all those kind of things. What in my experience, what happened when I was doing that as a truck driver and buyer seller on the road throughout the Pacific Northwest was that it did lead to an increase in the sales of the organic produce and demand and desire for it, and being able to support struggling farmers that were trying to do that, trying to grow that food. So I think that this food hub concept, and particularly focus on local, is a way to start exposing, or continue exposing, it's not really a start, it's been going on in other ways, exposing people to the interest, excitements to come and know about their food, know where it comes from, know the people it comes from, know it's fresh, and get a chance to try the organics or get the organics at a lower price perhaps, certainly fresh. And I think it leads to an increase in the market demand for organics and makes more for everybody, so that Fry Family Farms, if everybody was eating organic in the valley, they couldn't handle the infrastructure and the work to do it. And even they and Tom together couldn't do it. And they and Tom and Organically Grown couldn't do it. And even Charles, it's going to take everybody doing it. It's going to be a more decentralized, diverse marketplace. More breeds more. That's the punchline.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Anne, did you have a question?
Well, I just thought it was interesting to see that you said your sales have like leveled out over time here, and I wonder if you think this hub will possibly allow you to expand into other, like perhaps more of the schools and the institutions, so that you can increase the amount of sales locally?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've already seen that in the certifications that we have. The good handling practice, good farming practice has got us into the schools. The federal government passes grants to the schools, but they put a little caveat on it that you have to buy from farms that are certified with the good handling practices. So last year we were like the only farm on the list that had produce in all of Oregon. Huh? Crazy. I know a lot of guys that are way better farmers than I am and way smarter, and you know, so just that certification got us into schools. Having this building, they come and see that, you know, looks for real, and the coolers are all new, and the temperatures are all posted, and everything looks better compared to what, you know, a small farmer that I am does. Yeah, and institutions with, you know, with everybody working together like we're doing, that's how we got into schools. I have been trying to get into schools for years and years and years. We sat at one meeting and they said, yeah, well, we use a case of lettuce a week. And it's like, well, that's silly. Why am I even sitting in this room? A case of lettuce a week, you know, really? That doesn't help. But now, I mean, we're doing that. There's money that the government gave the schools to buy stuff so we can get a fair price. When you're competing against Cisco and conventional food, I'm out. I'm not going to go to that level. I mean, there's organic guys that go to the conventional price, and that's all in their business model. Whatever they do, that's fine. I've done it when I was needed to, and I'm in a position now I don't have to. My wholesale organic is more money than conventional to a grocery store. So what I say it's flat is Maud Powell and Stu back there have gotten a lot of guys and women into farming, which is their goal, and it's what all our goal is, which is great. But now the growers market, you know, you see a lot more growers in there, and it's hard for all of them to compete. We only have so many people that come to growers market, and they only have so much money to spend. And for years, it's just been flat, and my wholesale thing has gone up. And for me, if I can sell to Portland and Seattle, well, it's more of a regional thinking, because people will buy it and they think it's great, and with a facility that can process stuff to get it up there and still be hard and fresh, why not?
Maureen?
When you sell wholesale, that's the Ladybug brand, right? Do you lose your own brand identity when you sell out?
Fry Family Farm puts a sticker on the box, the Ladybug box, says Fry Family Farm, and then what the product is and the date we put it on the truck.
Identify it as yours?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
OGC source identifies all of their ladybug growers. So if you were to be a grocery store in Portland, you would look at their wholesale list and it would say kale from Fry Family Farm, or it would
And it's in bold dark letters, so they get a price sheet of all their products. It's multiple
with
pages.
every grower that they have.
And every grower is identified, and all the ladybug growers are in bright dark color. You know, Fry Family Farm is bright black, and all the local guys gathering
That way the
together.
restaurants and the stores that are buying from OGC have the choice to then also source identify when they're selling it. So at, you know, a Portland market, they can say this is Fry Family Farm from, you know, Medford, Oregon. So it's a great way to continue to promote regional food. And as much as we want to increase local food, I think increasing regional food is just as important, and hopefully this facility will help some of those smaller growers increase their wholesale market and increase the regional food production.
I mean,
as well.
new seasons in Portland, we sell them flowers. We sell them veg too, but flowers. Fry Family Farm stickers are right on the flower bunch. They blow them out up there.
Yeah.
They're organic flowers. What a concept. It's great.
Carly?
With this sort of local versus regional thing, and also the added momentum and success everyone's seeing, I'm wondering if you're looking or have thought of food justice and food deserts, if that's come up on the radar at all yet.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, New Seasons is, and all the stores up there in Portland are looking at that. I mean, New Seasons, I think they built like 12 stores this year. We saw one that was like in the most remote place I've ever seen. They have that mentality. They want to move into those places. We pay above minimum wage on our farm. We're as good to our farmers as we can be. I mean, it's brutal, hard work. I wish I could pay them more. There's just so much you can give at this point. It's a lot of, you know, I wish I could do more.
Hopefully the more efficient we become, the more quality product we can produce in a shorter amount of time, the more we can pass that on to everybody, not only the stores that buy it, but also the people that are working to produce it.
I mean, a lot of us farmers that are our size judge our employees by who's been there the longest, you know. I've got my original hire and all his family still work for me. You know, so we all are really, you know, proud of that they're still with us. You know, we're doing something right. I mean, we work them to death. I feel bad about that part. But they
love it.
But they love it. They actually love what they do.
Yeah.
And that's the best part.
Amy? Sorry. How do you?
Tracy, when you were talking about the three potential legal setups, co-op, nonprofit, and private, I guess, right? And I think you said you could talk about it more later. I don't know if it's super boring, but I'm definitely interested in that. And then just because it has the implications of how the business models are set up. And then, Fry, if you guys are willing to let us know a little bit about what costs may be for farmers to do processing or to set something up with you guys, or even for events and rental spaces. I'm just curious about what the cost would be for, if you're willing.
So the question is a little bit more about the legal business structure. I think that conversation has to do a little bit with government subsidies and where the funding should be most appropriately coming from for nonprofit entering the commercial marketplace. So there have been some food hubs who have been around a while who have made a statement that they'd like to stop applying for federal grants and find other ways to be financially viable. It's a very, very tough business, low margin, highly perishable, everything has to move fast. One of the benefits of this aggregating and distributing, in theory, should be that the farmers are off the farm less and working harder at their systems, producing more, providing more product for the aggregators and distributors so that there's more a little more flexibility for everyone to gain. So referencing Red Tomato, which is a food hub in the East, in the Boston area, they're a nonprofit, and they're unique also because they own no infrastructure. They have office and computers, but they have no trucks, no warehouse. They manage all the logistics without owning anything. And they made a statement a few years ago that they were weaning themselves from federal subsidies, and they were the largest recipient of the most recent round of local food promotion grants. So it's very hard to get away from those subsidies. And there's a lot of conversation about it in the, food hub, at the food hub conference that I went to, a lot of conversation about where does the money come from and how long can you expect before you can break even, how long can you expect to be able to depend on federal funds or even state or regional funds to help support your business. That's what I was referring to, just really how hard it is. And so the next part of the question was to the Fries, asking them if they had a sales sheet of their services to share.
Amber?
Yes, sales sheet of our services. Well, like I mentioned earlier during the presentation, we have not moved over to the new facility yet. We have not run we've done some practice runs to make sure that all the equipment is up and going, but we have not run a full...
We ran some taters.
We ran some taters, we've done test runs, but we have not run a full crop through the facility yet. So we don't know what our costs are. So in order to give a realistic cost for other farmers to run their stuff through, we have not been able to come up with that yet. Fortunately, we will have time this winter, and we have some help from other farmers in the area, and also some support from OGC helping us calculate numbers that would be fair. Our goal with this project, we did get funding to help build the building and to create the infrastructure that we have, But our goal with running this project is to make money on the kitchen, our value-added product, and at the store, and really be able to break even in the processing room. So really keeping the margins as low as possible to be able to have a cost-effective place for farmers to bring their product. Our goal is not to make really any money off the farmers that are bringing their product to be run there. It's just to be able to cover our running costs. So until we can figure out what our running costs are, those numbers are not available, but
Kitchen numbers are?
the kitchen numbers are, and we do have a rental sheet available for that. So if anyone wants to get those numbers, they can contact myself. They can go to our website, www.fryfamilyfarm.org, and get those numbers there. Rental space, kind of working that out still. Right now, it's just been for promoting the business, to get the word out and to get people out there. Yeah.
Mike?
I say that follow-up question. This may not be relevant, but will you charge yourself to set up and then charge people similar? For example, for the processing services, will it be 2 sets of books, or will you be like kind of using your facility by yourself as you need? And or have you guys gotten through that? I was curious.
It's a very good question. We would like, the question is, will Fry Family Farm be charging themselves to run through the processing facility and then have that to gauge how we would charge other farmers? And the answer to that question is that I think is going to be the best way to go about it and really figure out if we can maintain making money on this part of the business. You know, Fry Family Farms business and this new entity, which is the processing facility, the kitchen, and the
cooler
farm
space.
And the cooler space. In my mind, it kind of needs to be separate so we can see where profits are coming from, where losses are coming from, where we can be more efficient, and running that as its own entity and charging the farm to make sure the farm is still maintaining its balance and, you know, hopefully growing and maintaining its own profits. So I would say yes, we would like to charge ourselves just to keep the books even and see where we can be better and where we're starting to, if we, you know, when we're losing money.
Thanks. It's just a couple minutes past 8 o'clock, which is when we said we were going to end. And I want to thank you all for coming. I know that you had a choice of other things to do. Maybe they didn't include baseball.